Hello everyone. I'm Veronica Entwistle, and this is Lori Dovey, and we want to talk to you with MIRICRIS, who are beings that I channel, about what's coming up on the world. It's time of evolution, and it's the time of huge change, transformation, and potential healing or destruction of parts of the world. So
What I've said it before, what an absolute shit show for entertainment purposes only. What an absolute shit show we're in. And today is the new moon, and I'm sure everybody's feeling it. The vibration was really incredible this morning in my time zone, which you guys would have liked behind by about 9 hours. But wow. And then as the day went on, that zinger of a amazing forward energy just started to get really like strange. It got really strange, and it took a lot to ground, not to feel in reaction and keep throwing myself off center. I could feel it in my body. I was thrown off over something that happened in my neighborhood, and it took a lot to get back to center. So, and here we are.
it's almost like a prompt for you to take action on something that would bother you. Sometimes the energies are so much that you feel prompted, do you not?
Yeah, and it takes a lot. Sometimes you just have to stop what you're doing and sit
Hmm.
down,
Hmm.
close your eyes, and start doing your exercises. And I know, V, there's one in particular that you like to share with people.
Hmm. Bringing in the golden stream from infinity plus one. Bring it in from
Yeah.
way out there. And it reminds me that we all have the potential to wash ourselves out with frequencies that come from a long way away. There's no time and space when it comes to being an energy person. So I say take advantage of the shifting frequencies in the universes and our ability to go up there. Go up as far as you want. Let's call in a golden stream of light and have it move right through the tops of your heads and through your central nervous system and into the core of the earth. And keep practicing coordinating the motion of those frequencies as you bring it back up, shoot it up through to the top of your head and way out into the great central sun or way out into infinity plus one. And when you drop it back down, you'll notice you're sutured to the earth and you're sutured to and connected also to infinity plus one. You're connected to the universe. You're not just floating around untethered. So it's very exciting. Keeps us
Mm.
agile, doesn't it?
Yeah. And you can really feel the uplift in
Mhm.
that. Wow.
And it's
Lovely.
nice to know we can do it, that we're
It's
not
true.
necessarily victimized to it, which makes me think about MIRICRIS and how they're trying to show us, help us see what's going on politically and spiritually and evolutionarily. So I'm eager
Mhm.
for us to be talking to MIRICRIS.
Okay. And this is, as we proceed, everybody, this is for entertainment purposes only. And we have to say that because for various reasons. All right. So, V, do you want to call in here?
Yes, let's do that. And I'll ask everyone at home to take a deep breath and follow this prompt. Let's feel the presence of these beings of light, many different colors, and these teams of light beings that are here to anxiously, at times, anxiously want to help you and I adapt in conscious ways to a changing society. We are here. We are very, very pleased to be here with you again. Some of the questions that people ask us are heart-filling, heart-filling. It's good to
Mm.
see you, Lori.
Hello. Hi, MIRICRIS. You know, one of the topics that's front and center right now is this tragic death with Gene Hackman and his wife and their dog. And was wondering if, MIRICRIS, you can sense into it and maybe give us a little insight into this heartbreaking. story that came out yesterday.
We see, indeed, we see that he was truly ready to pass. You understand that? He was in his 90s, but also he has had a very full life and he's been through a great amount of, what would you call it, assessing himself and checking out what he left behind and preparing himself to pass. And it came sort of suddenly on him. Uh, but he didn't, you'll notice there were no signs of his struggle or anything of that sort.
But
And we'd
why
think
I'm sorry, but why his wife and the dog
because his wife didn't want to be without him. She
and
saw
the dog?
no purpose in her own life without him and the life that they had assembled. And the
No.
dog, he caught up in, a dog very often looks after people. He got caught up in some kind of feeling, a trap, a feeling. It's like he was trapped where the energy was stifling and confining, and he was very anxious because he knew something was going on, and it just took him out. You understand?
So you're saying that the dog's grief killed him?
Saying that he was trying to get out of a situation because he knew his family was in trouble, but he couldn't get out. And he is basically asphyxiated.
Oh, oh my gosh.
Mhm. But he wanted to get out and couldn't and got stuck and trapped in this position in which he was. And but you understand that being the dog, he wanted to get to the folks, didn't he?
So they committed suicide through pills?
Uh, his wife did, yes.
Wow. Oh,
She's a beautiful, beautiful spirit,
mm-hmm.
beautiful spirit.
Yeah.
And they loved each other tremendously.
Mm. And there were two other dogs left who were roaming free. Unfortunately, they were roaming the property for 2 weeks because the
But you
bodies.
know about animals very well, Lori, and those ones were more accustomed to being free-spirited. Do you understand that?
Hmm.
The one who passed was very, very in charge of, if you will, or dependent upon, mostly his mother.
Mm,
Loving, lovely animal, all of them.
mm,
So you
wow.
could say that he passed in a way that was helpful without much anxiety, although he began it in an anxious state. But the
Mhm.
other ones were kind of roaming free and looking for people. So they're going to be okay.
Wow. I know they are survived by a number of kids that they had.
Hmm.
And
You mean the dogs, or you mean the
no,
hack?
no, Gene and his wife, they had some kids.
Uh,
Um,
Dean is very, very happy to be where he is very strong in spirit right now. He's come forward. He's very strong in spirit right now. He's not suffering. You understand?
mhm. Okay, wow. Well, that was a shockaroonie for everybody
Hmm.
to wake up to
It
that
seemed
news.
like a terrible tragedy, but in fact, it wasn't. You understand? A tragedy is when, it was terribly anxiety producing for the person who was passing. There was more of a tragedy for the pup that died, you know.
Mm, yeah.
And this was a very, very sweet and creative couple.
Hmm. So let me ask this question. Did Jean die first without pills?
Yes.
Ah, that's why it took 2 weeks. Okay.
Mhm.
And then she followed with committing suicide through the use of
And
pills.
she couldn't make peace with the fact that he had gone.
Wow. Oh, all right.
But she's actually a very beautiful, beautiful spirit.
Hmm.
and for people to remember to send blessings to spirits like that, because they
Hmm.
need to feel that expansion of their own being and their freedom and so on. Both of them
Mm,
are pretty free right now. Gene Hackman is he's very pensive and has contemplated a great deal of his own life, and he's enjoying what he sees and perceives at this point with the people that he loves, with his children. And he's got some very, very important friendships. He's
hmm.
glad to be with his wife, but mostly he's reminiscing at this time, or perhaps another way of putting it is not in reminiscence, but in making contact with a few people that are very important, because for him, it's important that they know about the ongoing process, you see?
Mm. And has their dog joined them yet in the spirit realm?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
We want to
Wow.
say they appear to be happily in front of the sunset, so to speak, the husband, the wife, and the dog.
Mm,
His wife is taking a little longer, if there is any such thing as time where they are. She's taking a little longer to readjust her sights.
mhm.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Beautiful. And we really wish them well and to the greatest
Say
good.
this, that in both cases, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Lori. I just wanted to add one thing that Gene Hackman's art as a as a performer, was made so effective because he has a strong spirit in there. And it's not a spirit of domination, as he was always cultivating new understandings on how to live and what to believe in. You know, he had a great deal of inner life going on all the time, and was quite often quite an introverted person, but he loved people and he loved the movies and so on. And his wife, was so beautifully musical. She also moved deeply through her own psyche and soul. They had a nice matching, what would you call it? Their spirits were both not the same at all, but they matched one another's exploration of what it was all about for them, what was really important. And that continues where they are.
I can only imagine as Gene went first and is
Hmm.
ascending, which I know takes usually a number of weeks, is
Hmm. Well, it
ascending,
depends who the person is.
and then all of a sudden, who arrives but his wife unexpectedly? That must have been with the dog. There is a comical thing to this on the spiritual level. uh,
But once he collected his wits, he knew she'd be there.
yeah, that's funny.
There's no question. They were a really, really amazing couple and had a great deal of inner world and independence, even though they were together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we smile at that because that takes a certain kind of resolution within oneself and within one's maturity to hold that position in a very, very close marriage.
Right. Yes. And MIRICRIS, I'd like to kind of move away from that. And we wish them all the best, and they're in our prayers, all of them, and along with their two remaining uh, dogs
Hmm.
who are still alive. I would assume, being rehomed with somebody, hopefully a family member.
Family member.
Yes. So, Miracris, through all this insanity, a different, after that wonderful, peaceful feeling of being with Jean and the family, now we come back down to earth. And why are we not hearing from former presidents who can lend such incredible support during this time? to
It's
us?
because there's a war going on. You understand that? And that in that there is one more thing we spoke of last week, which is there's a great deal of mind control going on. Do you understand that? And Mr. Trump, well, probably Putin as well, but they're really holding a tinderbox. They want to explode a great number of things in the world, and people are the leaders in different parts of the world are keeping it calm and watching and trying to undo some of the very, very dangerous liaisons that want to go on. There's a great deal of danger in Mr. Trump. You must know that. A great deal of danger.
Uh,
And with
and
his
his cabinet and with JD Vance.
JD Vance is what we want to say. The problem with his cabinet is that he's got everyone defiant, angry, and working against. And it's like a tinderbox. There's a really deep, there's a possibility that the world could be blown up. You understand that? We don't like to say that, but the reason they're holding back is because it's like there's dynamite underneath it all. And there are few people who are in position in the world that know what's going on. And one is in North Korea. Uh, who else? This is Hungary.
Mhm.
Um, and when we go there, there's so much vibration that's it's not just agitated. Elon Musk has a great deal of this kind of energy as well. It's a vibration that is, it's as if it's playing a tune of danger. So watch out, here I come. Do you understand that? And so there's a lot of caution. There's a tremendous amount of caution going on. Your world is in a very deep, it's a stasis, but it's around blowing everyone up. Mostly because the Trump dynasty wants to take charge of the world. He wants to be in charge of the world. You understand that?
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
And you've got Haig Seth, who's usually he's out of commission in his own thinking and his own sensitivity. He keeps that thoroughly dulled. And JD Vance also has his own version of that. So he's got perfect henchmen with him who don't have a sensitivity for life on this planet. He has just this extreme, egregious demand that he wants to be in charge of the world. He wants to say,
Mhm.
I got it. And Mr. Putin loves it. He's playing with it too. You understand that?
I'm
Putin's
sure.
got a very wry sense of humor, and
Mhm.
he gets a big kick out of Trump.
Well, in the meantime, we have lots of judges, federal judges, standing up and putting the kibosh on the firing of, oh my God, all these federal workers from all these departments, various, right now, the most recent one, I think today, was a San Francisco judge put a stop on firing the federal workers out of NOAA, I think it was. And he said, the judge was just so blunt. He said, there's just absolutely no precedent, that can be relied upon to agree with the administration on firing all these workers. He said Doge has no right. They have no authority to fire
We're
these
going to
workers.
say, we're going to interrupt you just for a moment here because what the underpinning of what's going on there is you have, for example, Mr. Biden, there are several key political figures in the world that are, and Macron is one as well, that are trying to undo the venom and the strings going between different places. If they're pulled the wrong way, the eruptions will be worldwide. And what they're doing also with what Trump is doing with the workers, with the people that he's leaving out on the streets, because they will, some of them will really hit the streets, is just poisoning the whole country. And you're seeing in time, and it's not a long time, but there's a kind of a timing adjustment going on. Many people will be battling over these issues because America doesn't want to have many, many people on the streets, but he does.
Hmm.
You understand, Mr. Trump does. And so it's a really crazy, crazy, insane um, fight. It's a fight, but it's not really a fight. It's somebody's pulling the rugs out from under society. People would do well to investigate what democracy actually means because they're the ones in power are sort of lighting a fire and pulling the rug out from under any kind of structure that's standing up. And it's
Right.
really difficult to fight. They also use mind control and fear threats and bulliness, and you know all that.
Oh, yes. So let me jump to something
But
that
if
we
people
talked.
like Biden step in too fast, he'll be out for the count. You can't do that. You have to
Right,
watch.
because he had such hatred for Biden, and anything that Biden did previously, he's trying to undo.
Hmm.
So, but Miracris, let me, because the viewers now we're all on pins and needles, because previously every show we check in, will there be an undoing of Trump?
Yes, but it's getting worse because he has more nails in the situations he's trying to set up. He wants world dominance. Do you understand that? And in fact,
We want to know about his undoing
mhm.
because we've explored it in previous shows that he comes undone starting in March.
Well, one moment. Okay. What he's done, he's gotten pretty erratic right now, and he
Yes.
also got very dictatorial. And
Mhm.
we spoke of how he was getting weaker inside, his gastrointestinal, his brain, and so on. That's still going on, but when somebody has got venom and self-empowering ego kinds of things, you could get a boost to go farther down the road. You understand that?
Sure, it's right. It's that boost you get right before you die, often.
Yes, we
Yes.
want that for him.
Yes.
We see
But
that he's going to be attacked again by different people that are in his cabinet, in his own country. No, he's not going to get away with this very much longer at all. But we're not sure about time yet. We'd say end of February, which is right now, and into March, second week in March, there's a great deal of undoing going on. You have to understand that there's a number of people in position in America that are trying to pull the props out from under him, trying to, oh, several of them are trying to humiliate him. Watch for that, because if it's done in the right way, he will collapse. But we're seeing that if it's done in the wrong way, he just gets stronger. You understand that?
mhm, mhm.
But people
And
are very, very afraid to pull on him for fear he will overreact and call in the nuclear, that sort of thing. He's got a terrible craze for power right now.
yeah, and what's crazy is you are seeing it in this interaction, bullying Zelensky
Oh,
mercilessly. Him and JD Vance, it was awful watching this on the news. In front of the cameras and accusing Ukraine of this and that and citing all these inaccuracies. I mean, we
and how
now,
Ukraine started the war.
yeah, but it's going on and on. In the meantime, Donald was asked yesterday about his comment of Zelensky being a dictator, and all he said was, "Oh, did I say that? I don't remember that." And then he changed the subject.
But also, Lori, his brain is not okay. Do you understand that?
No, I know that.
But
You
his
know,
his drive to be venomous is very good.
So, how's he going to be undone? Let's work with our audience. How are
Uh,
we going to undo him?
one moment, please. Um, this is very, very difficult to say, but we're seeing here that someone's going to poison him.
Okay.
And we don't want to create that. However, at this point, we see him being, several beings are watching and cultivating him to see how exactly to do that. He is so hated at this point. Do you understand that? Do
Mhm,
you feel it?
mhm.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, of course, I'm on the planet.
And what he's doing is so poison and so denigrating for people. And when he's charging 5 million for a green card,
Yeah.
why do you think he's doing that?
He wants it to be the land of the rich.
Exactly. And he doesn't want normal people here. Then, on the
No,
other hand, what we were talking about earlier, he's making it impossible for people of mixed race or immigrants.
women and women. I mean, he just fired top ranking military officials, one who was the Joint Chief of Staff, African American guy. And the other one was the top ranking admiral of the Navy, a woman. These aren't just, and Hegseth was like, oh, she wasn't qualified. She came in as a DEI hire. This is not just a dismantling of the infrastructure of the United States and democracy. It is absolutely the shredding of civil liberties through this
But
whole
Lori,
idea of
what we're saying is
DEI.
that it's not going to be shredded, that the hint of being shredded, the start of being shredded is very prominent. However, there's quite a bit of clandestine activity going on where they're building up a resistance that will make you just admire America. You see, the
Right.
resistance is coming and it's going to get what we've told this one several times, it's going to get very violent at times. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't seem that there's any way around it because speaking with a man who's a bit of a madman
Mm-hmm.
and another man, his Doge fellow, who is also a madman from a different perspective. And those two have absolutely unquestionable power within their own ego and the amount of charisma they spray all over the country, you see. But they're not smart and they're not kind and they're not thinking about the country. So people are working against them. You watch for the Great American Revolution, which is coming up.
Can you give us a time sense on that? Because it's so
April, probably
intense.
April.
April. Okay.
Yeah. The reason for that, we don't know, and you know this, that everything's got a movability. But there's something coming up where he's going to plant his flag around something else, which is an abysmal approach to, it might be to do with human conditions, and we see it with seniors and children. There are several things that are coming up that are actually vicious and cruel.
Mm-hmm.
He said recently it's better for disabled people to die. It's of that ilk, and then you'll notice that people start reacting in a huge way. It's the start of a revolution. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's in April, but it might be
Mm-hmm.
wobbling around the edge of April, May.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and
And,
then it will be quiet for a short while, and then it'll really burst in the summer.
and with this whole right, but if he's not around, then and I remember, MIRICRIS, you didn't see JD Vance around.
No, we don't see him here at all. He also, we're talking sickness in a lot of these people, but he has something, he could be doing some kind of drug, sort of like what Elon's doing, but there's something he's doing that's very toxic for his own being. And you
Mm.
can bless God for that because he can't function. You understand? He can
Wow.
function right now, whippersnapper, but he's not going to do that very long. And
Wow.
also, his wife quite hates him, you know.
Yeah, I got that. And yeah, and
That's
they have
exhausting for him. Oh,
yeah, and they have three kids, and God knows how dysfunctional they must be by now.
but they have
So
money, so they'll have ways of looking after that.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I
You know,
did
Lori, we cannot say this will happen on April the 15th. This will happen.
no.
It cannot go that way. These are moving waves of influence, moving waves of pulling rugs out, or moving waves of soothing a difficult kind of combative nature. So and then the astrological things, as you pointed out, are pretty extreme right now,
Hmm.
and they're going to get very extreme again, more
Hmm.
in the summer again.
Well, I really hope he's not around more past April. That's my hope. You know,
We agree with you. There's going to be
because
an attempt on his life very soon.
wow, well,
And we try
let's
not to pray in that sort of thing. However, it looks like it would be very difficult for him to get through that period.
ah, is
Mhm.
that different than the poisoning? Is the attempt a different
Uh,
thing, or is it the
this one
same?
is collaborative with two different approaches.
Wow.
Mhm. The amount of hatred toward this person and what he's doing to the civilization, to the American life, amount of hatred is just it's sending sparks everywhere.
And not just the American life, his desire to create a new world order
Hmm.
has now touched across the globe to everybody.
He's made a lot of countries, people very angry, including Canada.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
And the thing about
So,
Canada, Canada's relatively balancing in a way, but it's getting so it's closing off any expectation of rational behavior or fair treatment.
mhm,
The people that are in charge there are and the citizens are going, we don't want anything to do with this.
right.
So they're going to push back. We'll see what happens there.
Will we see an increase in street protests?
Yes.
And by the way, I did want to say to our viewers today, February 28th, this is the big boycott, one of the many things that's planned, but today is the boycott against Zuckerberg, Amazon, and Musk,
Hmm.
and trying to affect a change through withholding commerce. So if we can all do something, it all helps,
Yeah,
which
and
is
if you
not,
buy only something, if you don't have any money or something, at least send in your comment or your complaint, because the corporates have
yes.
taken over the economic reality here. And also, what we say here is the corporations have taken over future projections for example, America, but essentially
Mhm,
for the marketed world, you know?
mhm. And one thing everybody's going to see is the White House number will be the complaint line will
Mhm.
be in the description below.
Good, good.
And don't forget your 5 calls for all those who can do what they can do.
Yeah.
Calling your senators, your House representatives. It's so important. It is making a difference. The pressure in these town hall meetings is incredible. I'm sure people have been watching the news and all these Republican town halls that have been getting yelled at, and
Hmm.
they are getting
And
crushed.
calling people out of the town halls, seniors and so on, who are complaining.
Right, but what's happening I want to say from a interesting strategy standpoint, the Republicans who are holding these town halls cannot answer their the constituents' questions, and what's happening is they themselves are now getting put between a rock and a hard place.
Uh,
So
we want that, Lori, because
yes,
any forward motion is conscripting, is like getting rid of DEI, that sort of thing. That's
Yes.
forward motion for them.
Yeah.
We're saying we want to stop any kind of motion going forward that they're coming up with right now.
Right. And I think it's deflating these Republicans energetically as they hold these town halls.
And they're questioning the Republican Party.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because you were voted in to represent everybody, not just the people within your party, but
Mhm.
that's the system of government we have. You were voted in to represent everybody within your area who voted for you. So there's a big conscience crisis going on here, I would think, or it's growing, hopefully.
Well, the awareness is that America is voted according to money.
Mhm.
And several people have been speaking to us over the last couple of days to really realize that America and high positions are bought positions. They're not necessarily for the greater good or for the good of the people. That's
That's
becoming much more aware. Yes.
where, yeah, and that's where Citizens United has to be completely overhauled. If you want to overhaul something, overhaul Citizens United.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a
We're
horrible.
always listen when they're boasting about marketing this or that. Always listen for what is the motivation? Is it making them richer? That's what happened with the oligarchs, isn't it?
Mhm, mhm. So we're in a position now tonight. I can feel it as we're talking.
Hmm.
This is an opportunity for all of us to make a change with the energetics. So, MIRICRIS, can you explain how we can do that so we don't feel hopeless and helpless?
You have to build up we started off this way, I believe, but you have to build up your own light over and over again. You are a light being. You are each a light being. And what does that mean? Reach up with your mind as a sculpting tool, reach up with your mind into infinity plus one and draw in a golden stream of light and have it boost its way all the way through your central nervous system and into the core of the earth. It's like a stanchion. It connects you to a much greater light, power, healing force, and the kind of electricity it's going to take to make your life advance because none of you wants to stay the way you are. You want to grow and change and evolve and so on. We say to you that when you do that and you could feel it going through your body, your auric fields are getting brighter as well. It takes practice, especially if you've been down in the dumps or whatever. It takes practice to keep building this light through your central core. And what happens is you radiate, as I've already said this, but as you radiate the light that comes from having light run through you and you practice feeling it, your light buffers you, your light that's all around you, buffers you, and also helps you light up other people. And when we say light up other people, there's a great deal of consciousness that goes with that. Consciousness means you know how this is going to affect the rest of the world. It's going to affect evolution. It's going to affect life as it could be. So it's one of your greatest defense, not just a defense, it's one of your greatest defenses, but your greatest contributions on this planet. And just imagine if enough people boosted their light, this whole species would be very different. Guidance often says that it's about 30% of the population that are going to make a huge difference. So that's not everybody, but you might as well get on that bus because you'll love it.
Mhm. And on that, just so beautiful. Thank you. I do want to illuminate some hope in the world, which is I've been a follower of Warren Buffett, who is a
Yeah,
self-made
he has done a
billionaire for a long time. And this is an example of somebody who's a billionaire who has a consciousness and a heart. And this man recently paid 28.5 billion in taxes. And what he said to the government. He said directly to the US government, take care of the many who, for no fault of their own, get the short straws in life. They deserve better.
Thank
And
you.
I thought, thank you, Warren. Hallelujah.
And for those of you who are listening, pay attention to that kind of thing because as you send your appreciation from your thoughts and feelings, more of that will start happening around the world as well. It's like building your own light, it's building your compliments, knowing where they deserve to go. Thanks for that, Lori.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, everybody. Take care of yourself. Do what you can. Make your calls. Get out there in the streets, and we'll do this. We're going to get
And
this
remind
done.
yourself that healing includes you becoming more and more wise. And as you move your energies, you will be wiser and more protected and a greater contribution to the rest of the planet. So we love you very much.
All right, everybody. Good night,
Good
and
night.
we'll talk to you soon, huh? Good night, MIRICRIS.